Confidence is one of those tricky things where some people are born with it. You all know this person. From the moment they were able to talk, they just walk everywhere with their head held high, saying what's on their mind, not a fear in the world. But then there's people like you and me. We grow up and it's very hard for us to voice what's on our mind to strangers and even our friends sometimes. You go to the barber and you don't like your haircut and you just don't say anything because you don't have the confidence to. I've been there. If you guys don't know, a couple years ago, just watch some of my old first videos. I was one of the most least confident people on the planet. I had difficulty even talking to my friends sometimes, saying what's on my mind. But there's a trick I learned kind of recently that has boosted my confidence unbelievably. And it's a really weird thing, and I'm going to get into it. But first, I want to talk about what is confidence, because, you see this word thrown around all the time. But what actually is it? I define confidence is two abilities. The first ability is to know who you are, not be unsure about what you're doing every day. And the second thing is how comfortable you are being yourself in different situations. So, someone who's very unconfident, they may not act like themselves even around their friends and family. Whereas someone who's really confident, they can act like themselves around random strangers. They see a pretty girl on the street, stone cold sober, and still they cannot not be nervous whatsoever. So a really confident person is someone who knows who they are and does not have a problem whatsoever portraying that wherever they go. So this leads me to the trick I found, and I'm going to try to explain this in a way that makes sense, because it is really weird. This is one of those rare times where I didn't get it from reading a book. I didn't get it from seeing some inspirational video. This is something that I literally just came up with on my own. So I'm going to see if I can patent this trick. But basically, here's the science behind it. Shy people, unconfident people, we have this internal monologue running 24/7. We're talking in our head, but we never voice it because, for some reason, and this is mainly for introverts. Extroverts, if you're watching this, let me know if you guys have the same thing. But basically, this internal monologue is running 24/7, and we're saying things in our head that we would never say out loud, and sometimes these things we're saying are very ridiculous. But the thing about confident people, whatever's in their head, they just say. And it's a beautiful thing that if everyone could do that, the world would be a much better place. But basically, here's the trick, and here's how you manipulate this. When you're by yourself or wherever you're most comfortable, I usually do this when I'm driving, but you could be on a walk or something. Anytime you're by yourself, just try to take that internal monologue and just verbalize it. Make it an external monologue. So let's say you're going on a walk by yourself, or you're driving or whatever thoughts you're having in your head, literally pretend like you're a YouTube vlogger and just say all of them. I started doing this like a month or two ago, and what I found is when you say your internal monologue, a great benefit of it is that you get to hear some thoughts that are actually ridiculous that you would never think are ridiculous in the first place. Like, you ever have that moment where you think something all the time, and then when you finally say it out loud, you're like, well, that's kind of stupid. And it's because when you say it in your head, you don't really have that feedback of like, maybe that is kind of stupid. But when you actually verbalize these internal thoughts, you can actually be like, maybe I shouldn't think that way. For example, I'll give you a personal example. I, for whatever reason, fall into these ruts where I think like no one likes me for no reason whatsoever. And I'll be thinking that over and over, and it'll make so much sense in my head. But when I actually get into this mode where I actually talk about it, to no one, I'm just saying it to myself. I'm like, wait, this is kind of stupid. Because, if you hear someone else say something stupid, you can immediately be like, okay, that's stupid. But for whatever reason, when we have stupid thoughts in our head, they just sound completely normal. And we keep persisting with those thoughts because there's no way to, recognize that stupid. But if you can just take some time every day to just say out loud what your internal monologue is thinking, you're going to get a way better sense of, who you actually are. And that leads to the first part of confidence, of knowing who you are. The second reason this strategy is so effective is because if you're an introvert like me, or you just aren't around people that much, you've probably had a moment where you go a whole day or something without talking to anyone. And then when you finally do end up talking to someone, you literally lose the ability to speak. Like the words in your brain just don't work at all. So if you can take some time literally just talking by yourself, saying whatever's on your mind, then you're a lot more likely to do what confident people do, which is just saying what's on your mind. That's literally, I mean, if you could boil down confidence to one thing, it's just saying what's on your mind all the time. And you know, obviously there's exceptions to this. There's some times where you're going to not want to do this, but you know, life, unbelievably, you know, who would have thought it, but life will get so much better if you can just be yourself as much as possible. And people like me, and probably you, if you're watching this, you know, we have this problem where we'll have this internal monologue of who you actually are, but then we're so uncomfortable in social situations that we say things that aren't who we are at all. And it just leads to this complete disconnect because of the lack of confidence that people think you are someone you're not because you're not being who you are. But basically this trick, I do it almost every day before I go to the gym, and it's been so effective. You know, I'm like driving to the gym. I literally just say whatever's on my mind. You know, I try to hype myself up a little bit. I'm like, and sometimes you can even lie to yourself while doing this. I was going to the gym today. I'm like, I am going to lift more than anyone else there. And then, you know, I just bounced off those thoughts. But, you know, just this taking some time to say exactly what's on your mind is going to make everything so real. Because when you limit your thoughts to just staying in your brain, we're getting very deep here, but I hope this makes sense. If you limit your thoughts all the time to what's in your brain, then it's not going to feel real, and also like no one is ever going to know you. But I think having that ability to say what's on your mind and just it's relaxing almost, because you know it makes whatever you've been bottling up in your brain feel so much more real. So yeah, I would definitely recommend trying this out. I don't even, like I said, I didn't read it in a book or anything. See one of those how to be confident videos. I don't watch those at all. But just the ability to say what's on your mind, and you know, if you have a friend you trust, you can practice that on a person. That's probably even better. But you know, if you want to start from somewhere, just take some time to say exactly what's on your mind. If you're by yourself in a car, on a walk, whatever, I think it's really great. Just because you can be yourself, and it's if someone sees you doing this, they're gonna think you're crazy, and you know that's just something you're gonna have to deal with. There was one time I was talking to myself in the car, and someone looked at me. I was like, it just is what it is. I mean, if people think you're crazy temporarily, that's fine. But I think it's so important to get your thoughts out in any way possible. I mean, maybe for you, you'd enjoy journaling more, making YouTube videos, anything that can make your internal thoughts externalized, because it'll make it feel so much more real, and you can look at your situation more objectively. So yeah, I don't know if this is backed by science or anything. This is just something that I've found personally to be very helpful. So go after you're done this video, go just say what's on your mind for a little bit, and I think you'll find it's pretty surprisingly helpful. So yeah, that's all I got for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. With that being said, peace.